Hey, good morning everyone. My name is Vipen Kumar. In this video tutorial, we are going to set up Openshift Origin 3.9 cluster with one master and one node. We are going to use advanced Ansible installation method to set up the Openshift Origin cluster. I'm running VMs on the VMware workstation with NAT IP address. I am running the services for Kubernetes API server, etcd, control manager server, Ansible, Docker service, OpenShift container, registry, web console, and CLI on the master server. On other side, on node, I am running the services for the Docker service, Kubelets, and service proxy. This is for your information. Uh, if your DNS server is not ready, then uh, keep this option false in the Ansible inventory file. Otherwise, it fails always, and you will get error message. Wait for API server to be ready. If your DNS server is ready, then have a wildcard entry for your domain. In my case, it should be star.apps.weapon.io, and once you have wildcard entry in your DNS server, then you can have this option true in Ansible inventory file. So let's start to set up OpenShift Origin cluster. So these are my VMs. This is my master VMs, and the IP address is uh, 173 ending 173, and this is IP address for node that is ending 174. So let's do it. So first we need to install some of required packages and tools along with Dockers on both the node master as well as on the node. So I'm going to install the necessary tools and packages on both the node master as well as on node. Okay, I have set up the required packages and components on both the machines, uh, on the master as well as node. This is my master machine and this is my node machine. And next step is set up the EPL repository uh, on both the machine, master machine as well as uh, node machine. It has been done. Now next step is uh, set up the uh, repository to use only this EPL on both the machine. Okay, once this step has been done, let start network manager. The network manager on both the machine. Network manager service should be up and online on the both the machine. Otherwise your pod networking will be fail. So this is a requirement for the OpenShift clustering. So let's start uh, the network service on both the node and then enabled it on both the machine. Okay, so let's enable it. Okay, once it has been done, let's install the Ansible. The Ansible going to be installed only on the master machine. We are not going to use Ansible on the node machine. Ansible should be installed only on the master machine. So I'm going to install Ansible only on master machine. This is my master machine and I'm installing the Ansible. Okay, Ansible is ready on my master machine. Next step is let's clone the OpenShift Ansible source code on the master machine. So I'm going to use OPT location for downloading the OpenShift uh, OpenShift source code on the master machine. So Git is already installed on my master machine as well as node machine. So let's clone the OpenShift Ansible source code on the master machine. Okay, cloning has been completed. Let's verify. So we have cloned the OpenShift Ansible source code on the master machine on OPT location. Next step is let's check out uh, OpenShift 3.9 release. So we can use this command. This command is going to check out OpenShift 3.9 release on the master machine. Okay, so we are now branch release 3.9. So next step is let's some let's do some configuration on local host file because I'm not using a DNS servers. So please use your local host file if you are not using the DNS server. So let's make some entries on both the machines under the host file. Give me a second. Go ahead. Okay, insert. uh, I'm making some changes, or I'm making some entries for master and node. So this is my entry. uh, this is my master IP address. This is a host name. This is a console, and console.weapon.io. This entry I'm going to use for the OpenShift web console, and this is entry for node 1, that is for the OpenShift node IP address, and this is a host name for their IP address. So just save it and do similar entry on the node Kubernetes, OpenShift node. So do similar entry on host file, make entry, end of the line. So this is entry for the master as well as node. Once entry has been completed on both the machine, let's try to stop the Docker on both the machines. This is my master machine, and now restart Docker or start Docker. So I'm using the restart command. You can use start command, and this step has to be completed on both the machine. And now let's enable the Docker services on both the machine. Okay, it has been completed on master machine. Let's follow the same step on the node machine. The first steps: stop the Docker, then restart the Docker, then enable the Docker services. Okay, so next step is uh, generate the SSH key, and copied over the node server, and this is required for the authentication between the master and node, and this keyless entry used by the Ansible to configure the OpenShift on the master as well as node. So please follow the steps to set up the environment for the Ansible. Create SSH key. Okay, now let's copy over the master as well as node, so that Ansible can have the authentication on master and node to set up the OpenShift origin. Say yes, give the password. Say yes, give the password. So it's ready. Now, uh, now the most important part comes. Let's create a inventory file for the Ansible. Ansible use this inventory file to configure the OpenShift origin cluster on the master as well as node. You can download this inventory file on my on from my GitHub account. So let's create the inventory.ini file on the master machine. uh, it should be, you can create anywhere, and you can give the reference of this file while you are running the Ansible playbook, but uh, I'm creating this file on the same location where I do have Openshift origin source code. So I'm creating this file under the OPT location. So I'm creating this file here, and I do have a copy. This is a copy of my inventory file. This my inventory file looks like this. I am not going to explain each and everything. I am assume that you have basic knowledge of Ansible and some knowledge of OpenShift architecture. So uh, this is a master node and etcd. So I am running the in the starting of the tutorial. I explained what service I am running on the master node and what service I am running on node. So you can use or you can use this inventory file for your reference, and uh, this is a master node 73 and 74 is a node for the OpenShift cluster, and these are variables I am passing to the OpenShift installation, and I'm using containerization, so it is true, and I'm using the network uh, SDN. So this is SDN I'm using for the networking, and I'm disabling the checksum for these parameters. You can enable and disable the checksum according your system requirement, and uh, I'm using the origin type of deployment. You can use if you have the license, you can go for enterprises, OpenShift enterprises. But I'm using the origin, and I'm using the release 3.9.0, and uh, these are my public host name. Uh, the console.wipin.io. In this URL, or in this host URL, I am running the OpenShift web console, and this is going for the subdomain for the application that is going to be hosted in the OpenShift environment. If you have DNS server, uh, please use your DNS server, because DNS server is a primarily prerequisite for the OpenShift origin cluster environment setup. So this is a file I'm going for the OpenShift cluster. Let's save it on the master node. So currently I have inventory.ini file under the OPT location. So next steps, I have to go. I have to run a Ansible playbook for the prerequisite. Uh, so this Ansible playbook going to uh, set up going to be this Ansible playbook going to set up the environment on master as well as node for the OpenShift cluster. So it is going to take some time, depends on the on the on the variables, like how many variables are going to be set up on master as well as node. So currently it is running. I'm running the Ansible playbook from the master machine. Okay. So this Ansible playbook made modification on 73, 15, and 74. 14 changes has been made. So now, uh, you know, so now my both the machine is ready to set up OpenShift Origin cluster. So uh, play or execute the Ansible playbook for the deploy cluster on the master machine. So you can see here I'm running the Ansible playbook and I'm giving the reference for the inventory.ini which I created, and this is a uh, playbook to deploy the cluster. So I'm going to execute. It is going to take some time depending on your internet speed, because it is going to pull down some of the container on both the machine master as well as node. So let's execute it and wait to be completed. to create a uh, cluster account or cluster admin. So we are using the ST password uh, to create a admin account for the OpenShift cluster. So I'm creating a account, the name with admin and password is admin, and I'm giving the access, or I'm giving the role for the cluster admin for the for the OpenShift OpenShift cluster. So okay, so I have created admin account for the OpenShift cluster and give the access or permission or role for the clustering for the OpenShift. So now everything is okay. We can try to log in on our web console. So we can verify like OC login, and it is asking password admin and admin. So now, okay, so our OpenShift cluster console is ready. We can log in with account admin and password admin, and these are default project. Let's try to log in on on the console.vpn.io and port number 8443 on my local browser. But before try to access the console on the browser, let's do some modification on my local host file, so that console.weapon.io can point out my master cluster IP address. So this is my file, and I'm using 73 has a I'm using 173 has a OpenShift cluster IP address. So cluster IP address for the master node, and let's try to access the console dot 8443 and the IP address HTTPS. And obviously I'm using the self-signed certificate, so it is giving the warning message. So let's get a certificate and confirm the security exception, and I'm getting the home page for the you know uh, home page for the OpenShift Origin, and enter admin username and admin password, whatever the password you just created. Okay, so uh, so at that moment we can see our OpenShift origin cluster is ready to use on the master as well as node. We can try to get like OC get nodes, and we can see our master and node is ready, and the uh, master is ready and compute is ready. We can try to create a new project. So I'm creating a new project called demo, and demo username and password and demo. So let's create it. So now our demo account has been created. Let's try to create a PHP sample application. So browse the catalog and select the PHP. uh, we can select the PHP, cake PHP or MySQL PHP, or you can okay, let's try to create a sample or simple PHP application. So here I'm using the application name is test, and Git repository. I'm using the OS sample PHP you know application for the testing. So this is the Git repository location, that is for OS sample php.git, and let's try to create it. Okay, this application successfully created. Let's try to let's try now. So uh, currently there is one application deployed in the demo project, that is called test, and build is running. We can verify events, so we can see all the events that is happening on this board. So we can see the container has been started, container has been created, and logs we can see it is trying to clone or pull the images from the GitHub account. So let's wait to be completed, and we can see the outcome, or we can try to access the application on the browser. Okay, so looks like that the PHP test application ready to use. We can confirm here. So let's go. Okay, we can see the port 1 is ready, and we can verify that this port is running on the 174 node, and logs saying that everything is okay, and we can try to access the application now. So this is a URL, but before testing this URL, you have to configure once again, uh, you know, once again the host file. So I'm using this configuration to test the applications. So I'm pointing the test demo.apps.weapon.io to the 173 IP address that belongs to the OpenShift master. Let's save it and now access it. So if the question is that if you have DNS server is ready, just create a wildcard entry for apps.weapon.io, and then you don't require to modify your local host file. But anyway, if you are not if you don't have DNS server ready, you can use this way to test your application on the local browser. So now we can see the application is working fine on the on the OpenShift cluster. So this is a simple PHP test application that is running on the node that is running on the OpenShift cluster node. So we can try to increase or decrease the board. So if we want to we want to add one more port, we can go ahead and scale it. So currently there are two ports are running, so we can verify two ports are running. These are two ports. The first port was created 2 minutes ago, and the recent one was created few seconds ago. So this is the way uh, to test our application on the OpenStack, and this tutorial demonstrate you how to set up the OpenShift Origin cluster with one master and one node. You can use any number of the master and any number of the nodes depending the hardware how much you allow in your environment. My hardware allow that much configuration, one master and one node. uh, So that's all in this video tutorial. In coming video tutorial, I'm going to provide a complete guide for the administrator, OpenShift cluster administrator, OpenShift developers, as well as you know to support day-to-day operation. So please feel free to contact me if you have any questions regarding the OpenShift Origin cluster, setup, or any question regarding the OpenShift. Please write a mail on vipinkumargupta@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and keep watching my YouTube channel for more technical videos. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye.